Good evening, I'm Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. Yesterday, a stage was set up in front of the Palace of Justice where Putrajaya MP Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansor greeted some of the 10,000 people who attended his son's drive-through wedding reception. This morning, at the Kuala Lumpur High Court, the atmosphere was very different. Tengku Adnan Mansor, the then Federal Territories Minister in Najib Abdul Razak's administration, has been found guilty in a 2 million ringgit corruption case. During the highly anticipated open court proceedings this morning, Kuala Lumpur High Court Judge Mohamed Zaini Mazlan delivered the verdict as the UMNO veteran looked on from the dock. Zaini ruled that the prosecution had succeeded in proving its case beyond a reasonable doubt, and the accused had failed to raise reasonable doubt in the prosecution's case. Zaini then found the accused guilty and convicted him on the charge. The court then took a short recess between 30 to 45 minutes to allow the defence to prepare mitigation for the sentencing later. The case was fixed for a decision today at the end of defence. Previously, on December 7th, another Kuala Lumpur High Court granted Tengku Adnan a discharge not amounting to acquittal in a separate 1 million ringgit corruption case. According to the charge relevant to today's verdict, Tengku Adnan, in his capacity as a public servant, namely as Federal Territories Minister, was accused to have accepted for himself 2 million ringgit from Chai King Kong, who is Director of Aset Kaya Mas Sendirian Berhad via a Hong Leong Islamic Bank cheque belonging to Aset Kaya Mas. The cheque was later allegedly deposited into the CIMB bank account of Tatman Suri Holdings Sendirian Berhad, in which the accused had an alleged interest when it was purported that Aset Kaya Mas had a connection with his official duties. The offence was purportedly committed at the Pusat Bandar Damansara branch of CIMB Bank Berhad on June 14, 2016. Tengku Adnan was charged under Section 165 of the Penal Code, which specifies a jail term of up to 2 years, fine or both. After a short recess, sentencing was carried out, with Tengku Adnan facing jail time and a fine. Moments after Tengku Adnan Tengku Mansor was found guilty in his 2 million ringgit corruption case, Kuala Lumpur High Court Judge Mohamed Zaini Mazlan sentenced him to 12 months jail and 2 million ringgit fine. However, the judge allowed the defence bid to stay execution of the sentence pending appeal to the Court of Appeal. In reading out the sentence today, Zaini ruled that Tengku Adnan is not the first high-ranking officer and politician to be charged and convicted under Section 165 of the Penal Code, as there have been others. Zaini said the court took note of the defence submission in mitigation for a lesser sentence, that the accused have served the nation for many years among others. Zaini added that the foremost consideration, however, in deciding the appropriate sentence is the public interest. The sentence must reflect the gravity of the offence committed. He said it must also serve as a deterrent to not just the accused but also others from committing a crime of this nature. Zaini also reiterated that the court must abide by precedents of previous high courts in sentencing similar cases. The judge also ruled that in the event Tengku Adnan defaulted in paying the 2 million ringgit fine, he would need to serve an additional 6 months in jail. After the proceedings, the former minister was seen leaving the High Court without giving any comments to the media. Syed Saddiq's Muda has enlisted the help of 2 renowned lawyers to mount pressure on ROS as they seek to register their group as a political party. The Malaysia United Democratic Alliance, Muda, led by MUA MP Syed Saddiq Syed Abdul Rahman, has given the Registrar Societies 7 days to grant its application to register as a political party or risk legal action. Syed Saddiq, who is one of the 13 co-founders, joined other Muda Pro Tem committee members in handing over the group's legal letter to ROS. Former Attorney General Tommy Thomas and former rights group Hakam chairperson Ambiga Srinivasan have been appointed to represent Muda in the bid to seek justice from ROS on the issue of its registration as a formal political party. Syed Saddiq told reporters outside the ROS headquarters in Putrajaya this morning that if the application is not granted in 7 days, the group will take the case to court, represented by the 2 senior lawyers. He also thanked the 2 lawyers for being with the group to facilitate its registration. Having once been a part of Bersatu's founding members and later appointed as its youth chief, Syed Saddiq recalls that the party was registered in 30 days, unlike the current situation where more than 90 days have passed since Muda submitted its application. He questioned why it was easier for Bersatu to be registered under the time of Najib Abdul Razak and Ahmad Zaid Hamidi than under the present administration. The former Youth and Sports Minister pointed out that the approval was granted despite Bersatu being founded by former Premier Dr. Mahathir Mohamad after a fallout with UMNO and soon became a platform for the party's disgruntled members. This, Syed Saddiq added, was much unlike Muda's support base among multiracial Malaysian youths. According to Muda's legal letter, which was distributed to the media, its application to the ROS was first submitted on September 17th. On October 3rd, Muda submitted a revised proposed constitution based on ROS requests made during a previous meeting with several pro-tem committee members. More than a month later, on November 25th, the ROS requested each of the pro-tem committee members to provide their bankruptcy status, and the group said they had immediately complied with the request. Malaysia reported over 2,000 cases today, and more than half of it was detected in Selangor. Health Ministry Director General Dr. Noresham Abdullah reported 2,018 new COVID-19 cases today, with Selangor alone reporting 1,204 cases. Meanwhile, Johor reported more cases than Sabah, with 278 cases. However, Sabah is not far off, with 247 cases. With the high number of cases reported today, the number of active cases have shot up to 16,496, the highest level yet. The Health Ministry also reported one new death, bringing the cumulative death toll to 438. The victim was a 50-year-old non-citizen who passed away at the Tuaran Hospital in Sabah. The victim had no known medical problems. According to Dr. Nur Hisham, 201 COVID-19 clusters are still active, with 44 clusters reporting new cases today. Minister Kari Jamaluddin has cleared some confusion over what Malaysia is paying for vaccines. Is Malaysia paying 20 times more for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine compared to Belgium? Science, Technology and Innovation Minister Kari Jamaluddin said the claim made by DAP's Iskandar Puteri MP Lim Kit Siang is incorrect. Lim had claimed that Belgium is paying 20 times less for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine compared to Malaysia. In a reply to Lim's tweet, Kari explained that the 3 billion ringgit spent by Malaysia is for the country's overall estimate to get coverage for at least 70% of the population. Lim made the claim in reference to a faux pas by Belgian Secretary of State Eva de Bleeker, who accidentally revealed that her country paid €12, or approximately 60 ringgit per dose, for Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. Given that Malaysia has an estimated population of 31 million, the 3 billion ringgit allocation would work out to about 142 per person to vaccinate about 70% of the population. Some vaccines, such as Pfizer's, come in 2 doses. On November 24th, Putrajaya rushed to book COVID-19 vaccines for 6.4 million people, about a fifth of the population from Pfizer. The price for each dose sold to Malaysia is unknown, as Pfizer required a non-disclosure agreement because it was negotiating with other countries. As for the other 20 million people to be vaccinated, Kari told the Dewan Rakyat on November 25th that negotiations with vaccine manufacturers are still ongoing. Dewan Negara now has 2 more senators with the appointment from Bersatu and MCA. Let's find out who they are. Sarawak Bersatu Chief Jaziri Alkaf Abdillah Sufian and Bukit Katil MCA Division Chief Koh Nai Kwong have been sworn in as members of the Dewan Negara. The 2 were appointed by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, who can appoint up to 44 senators. Jaziri was previously an architect before founding My Prodigy Global, which has developed an online self-help tool called Pathway Minded. He is also the Santubong Bersatu Division Chief. Koh was once the Alugaja MP. He was fielded as MCA's candidate for the Machap Jaya State Assembly seat in the 2018 general election, but he did not win. Koh is understood to be a close confidant of Melaka Governor Muhammad Ali Rustam. Dewan Negara President Rais Yatim, in his welcoming speech, urged Koh and Jaziri to draw upon their respective experience and professions to contribute during these Senate sessions, encompassing all aspects in line with the position of Dewan Negara as the highest legislature in the country. With the latest round of appointments, the BN, Perikatan Nasional and Gabungan Parti Sarawak Alliance hold 45 seats in the 70-seat Dewan Negara, while the opposition have 22 seats. Coming up next, European countries are shutting their doors to Britain amid alarm over a new coronavirus strain. After the UK announced that a new coronavirus strain has led to spiralling infection numbers, several European countries imposed travel restrictions on Britain. Several European countries have shut their doors to Britain due to concerns over a new rapidly spreading coronavirus strain. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced on Saturday that the new virus strain had led to spiralling infection numbers. That prompted Belgium to announce that it was closing its borders to trains and planes coming from the UK, and the Netherlands to suspend flights. Italy says it's planning a similar ban, and a German health ministry official said restrictions could be imposed on flights from Britain and South Africa, which has also detected a new coronavirus strain. Austria is also reportedly planning to ban flights. Spain said in light of the moves by other countries, it was asking the European Commission and European Council for a coordinated response, otherwise it would act unilaterally to defend its interests and citizens. On Saturday, Johnson imposed a new Tier 4 level of tougher restrictions on more than 16 million people in England, and abruptly abandoned plans to allow 3 households to mix indoors over festive periods less than a week before Christmas. Immediately after the announcement, there was a dash to train stations and people tried to travel home before restrictions came into force. On Sunday, the city was eerily quiet. Those who could be found in the streets of London, like Brad Nichols, expressed the view that it was the right decision, but the government had left it too late.
Yeah, I'm pretty upset about it. I think the lack of planning and the lack of ability to tell people that this was going to happen in advance of when it did caused a lot of havoc and confusion.
Health Minister Matt Hancock said the decision to impose the restriction had been taken speedily, and he condemned crowding at train stations as irresponsible. A space-age nativity scene appears to have invited the disapproval of Pope Francis. Pope Francis does not appear to think that the force is strong with a space-age nativity scene in St. Peter's Square, featuring an astronaut and a character reminiscent of Star Wars villain Darth Vader. The pontiff on Sunday twice urged visitors to check out an exhibition of traditional nativity scenes on the fringe of the square, but made no mention of the space-age ceramic display.
Consumismo, fratelli e sorelle.
Consumerism has kidnapped Christmas, he said, adding that there is no consumerism in the manger in Bethlehem. What is there, he said, is reality, poverty and love. The Vatican uses a different nativity scene each year, chosen by its de facto municipal government and usually donated by towns and artists. But this year's offering has received scathing views in the media and from visitors to the square, who have at best expressed puzzlement and at worst contempt. Shoppers washed their hands and sterilized their smartphones in the streets of Tokyo's posh Ginza district using a high-tech machine. Shoppers in Tokyo can now sterilize their smartphones and wash their hands on the go. 20 machines developed by Muda has been set up near the popular Ginza shopping district. The machines won't need to be connected to running water and don't use fresh or wastewater tanks. Instead, they recycle the water through a 3-stage process. Muda CEO Yasuke Maeda explains that they've shrunk a large water filtration plant to 100,000th of its original size and put it inside these machines. They also have a device that cleans smartphones through 20 to 30 seconds of ultraviolet light exposure while users are washing their hands. They say touching a dirty smartphone would otherwise negate their hand-washing efforts. The machine does need a connection to a power supply. Muda has now begun shipments within Japan of roughly 4,000 units. It aims to expand internationally next year, with many inquiries coming from the United States.
This is exercising. Exercising seems to be not happening. Exercising didn't begin with a B from Baroka, which is why exercising is lacking physical stamina. Exercising is relaxing, dreaming, and wondering what's cooking. Come on, guys! Exercising needs to begin with a B from Baroka. An energy boost so you can exercise with better physical stamina. Begin with a B and begin exercising. Begin with Baroka.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll be back with more tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.